Hello guys, welcome to our next video. Today we are going to talk about something which we really don't like. That's production issues. Like who wants production issues, guys? We always want a stable, bug-free production environment, and we always aim to attain 100% production stability. Now, one fine morning you came to your office, you had a very good coffee, you just come and check your email. Suddenly you see this email which says prod issue. Now don't sweat it, just sit back and check all the emails. Like usually whenever production issues happen, right, there will be a lot of back and forth emails running between your client, like from the time he noticed the issue, and your developers will ask them to try something else. And like usually there will be like lot of email chains going around. So just see if you can get some information, like how did this happen, when did this happen. Okay, and just a little more information about the production issue as such. So once you get the information, if you think that you don't have enough information in that email, always feel free to approach any of your developer with whom you are closely working. You can just go and ask him, like, hey, have you come across any issue, like what is it all about. Get little more information about it. Once you get complete understanding of why did it happen, how did it happen, when did it happen, etc., that's when you have to go and check whether you have a test case covering this scenario. So you might have already executed a test case for this scenario, so go and check the results and see what you have executed. If it is a miss, like see where did you miss it, etc. Guys, if it is a miss, it is a miss. Like don't take it personally. It is all about the experience. We always grow from our experiences. So it doesn't matter if you are a 10-year senior QA or senior QA lead. You let your let your seniority not affect or don't have a negative effect on this. So always have the attitude to accept if there is any miss. We always learn and make sure that we don't repeat it again. But usually I'm telling you, like, production issues are not always because of QA miss. There might be number of reasons why production issues happen. Like there might be infrastructure issues. Okay, and most of the times QA environment versus production environment will not be in sync, though we always ask them to maintain the environments the same way. Usually due to cost reasons, sometimes there might not be the same. So a particular functionality which was working perfectly fine in QA might not work in production, and vice versa. So just analyze it. By the end of first point, you should be clear of what the issue is and why did it happen, and also whether you had an associated test case covering this scenario or not. Now once the issue is officially declared that yes, there was a production issue, and if you had any like call with your team that officially confirming this issue, that's when you have to ask them, like, when are they planning to fix this issue. Now it is your product owners or your business team's decision. Usually, like, when based on how critical your issue is, they'll decide when they want to fix. If it is like a very low impacted issue, of course production issues are always not a good sign, but low impacted is something which has a workaround. So the best example that I can tell you is your application. Like, just let's say your application is being used by 10 different users. A specific set of users are using your application that you're testing. Now out of 10 users, 8 users are opening your application on Google Chrome and Firefox, whereas 2 users are using this on IE. Now there is due to browser compatibility issue, there is a functionality that is not working on IE, whereas the same functionality is working very fine on Google Chrome and Firefox. Now you have a workaround for this. You can still go to Google Chrome or you can go to Firefox and access that functionality. Now what happens is, if they think that if the business thinks that because we have a workaround, let us not have an ad hoc install for this particular bug fix. Let us install it in the next release. So once they decide this, you have to make sure that in the next release this issue is fixed and it is working fine on all three browsers. Now this particular product owner or whoever is representing your product from your side to the client side, it is his responsibility to communicate to the client asking them to use Chrome and Firefox until next release. He will take care of that. So this is how you usually it happens with low impacted production errors which has a workaround. Now there are some high critical issues where revenue is affected, or where client cannot wait until next release for that particular issue to be fixed. Now in those cases, how would you behave? Like, what is our role? So once your business team decides the criticality, based on that, if it is a high critical issue, it's step number 3. Before you start your testing, you have to include your manager or director, and keep him in the loop, saying that there is a prod issue which I'm going to start for which I'm going to start working. This is very very important step. You have to do this for one basic reason which I feel, which is really very very important, because something just doesn't go and get installed in production like that. There is a process that needs to be followed for any code to be installed in production. So usually what happens is, there are change management tickets which will be opened on ad hoc basis, because this is a critical issue. Nobody thought that this would happen, but it happened. So there should be some install that has to happen on production, right? So for that, there is a process where change management ticket will be opened, and it has to go through series of approvals. So in your place, if you are a QA manager or a director, it is your responsibility to decide whether this change can go to production. Is it okay from your side to get this code installed in production on this basis? So you have to approve the ticket. Now if you have a manager or director above you, usually the ticket goes to him. So suddenly, if you do not inform him, and suddenly if he sees this particular email, he'll definitely come back and ask you, like, what happened, why didn't you inform me? So it is our responsibility to keep him in loop beforehand, before we start testing. Now when we are telling him, definitely he might ask you, like, why did we not cover this scenario? So by this time, in the step number 1, you are already ready with this answer. So just give him, like, in what scenario you have missed, or what happened actually, what is the issue all about. So get all the details and be ready to inform him. If he will definitely ask you, he is your manager or director, so you will get that question from him. But let this, I definitely suggest you inform about the production issues beforehand, or else there will be a small gap that will be occurring between you and your manager, and that will really impact us in day to day, work. So let that not happen. And once you inform him about the issue, and once he asks you to, go ahead with your testing, that's when you completely come up with all your test scenarios based on the fix. You know what fix they are, fix what is the fix, right? Based on that, come up with your test cases and test scenarios and test it thoroughly. And next step is optional, which I would definitely do, because what happens is, because the production installs, like, for critical issues, happen in a day or two. So you will not have much time to actually communicate. So whatever you understood based on your meetings, you will immediately come up with your test cases and execute it. So before sign off, like 2 to 3 hours before sign off, just include your business team or a product owner, and just go over your test results, just to make sure you have covered all the scenarios. So in the worst case, if you have missed anything, he'll immediately tell you, and you can cover that up in 2 to 3 hours time which is left out. So before you sign off, definitely, I would suggest, just go over a meeting, quick call, like 10 to 15 minutes meeting, and tell him what you have tested and what is the result that you're seeing. Now after you're completely satisfied with the result based on your fix, provide your sign off. If your company has a policy where QA is being involved in production validation, yes, involve in production validation, and see whether this fix is working fine in production. So these are the steps which I think, which which I follow once, if I hear of any prod issues, without getting panic. Just sit and go over all these steps. If it is a miss, feel free, and be try to accept it, because we always learn from our experiences. In fact, we grow from our experiences. So based on that, we'll make sure it will not happen in the next time. But again, keep in mind that if there is any production issue, it is not always because of QA miss. There might be number of reasons. So first step is very very important, where you analyze all the issue. Why did it happen, when did it happen, how did it happen, and see whether you have a test case associated with this or not. And then you can follow all the steps, like step by step, based on your company's policies. So this is what I thought. This I thought of sharing this piece of information, and I thought this will be useful to you guys. So if you have any questions, feel free to post in the comment section, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Happy testing, guys. Let's talk in the next video. Until then, bye bye.